It's January 22nd, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today in the Treasury Titans. Nothing in this video is financial advice, but I hope you enjoy this episode because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If you are not incredibly bullish about MSTR, about strategy right now, there's a problem. And that problem is you are not bullish. You do not believe in the thesis of Bitcoin because if you believe that Bitcoin is going up at least a 30% CAGR or more going forward, you have to then understand, if you've done the work, if you've read the videos, watched the presentations, all the stuff, you have to understand that Michael Saylor has engineered an absolute indestructible flywheel. Again, this flywheel does not work if Bitcoin goes to zero. This flywheel does not work if Bitcoin goes to $1,000 and stays there for the next 5 years. We have to understand that. Of course, that's why there's reward in this trade, because there is absolutely risk. But if you believe in the Bitcoin thesis, that Bitcoin is not going to 1,000, the Bitcoin is not going to zero, the Bitcoin is going up at least 20, 30, 40% CAGR year over year for the foreseeable future, which some people think is going up more, and I can get on board with that as well, then how do you not see how this flywheel that Michael Saylor has created is absolutely going to dominate and eat the world? MSTR is a monster. Rant is over. I just wanted to say that because it is so obvious to those of us that have put in the work and that believe in the Bitcoin thesis. Both of those things have to have happened. You have to have put in the work on Bitcoin and on MSTR, and you have to believe in the Bitcoin thesis. And then you have to trust the Saylor team, that Michael Saylor and strategy are going to continue to go forward and make these fantastic decisions that they've been making since day one. And of course, making pivots and adjustments when they realized, hey, this isn't working how we wanted it to, which is what good teams do, which is what good leadership does, because they are a frontier. This path has not been trodden before. They are out there in the wilderness making it happen, learning from reactions, pivoting, adjusting as needed, and driving forward. And here we are today where Michael Saylor posts digital credit is volatility engineered. What's volatility? Well, MSTR's volatility, 62%. Bitcoin, which is IBIT, that's volatility. That's 40%. Everything else kind of drifts off a little bit. And then you got the very bottom, stretch at 7%. And by the way, that 7% going to 5%, then it's going to 3%. Then it's going to 2%, and then it's going to 1%, and it's going to sit at 1% for a long, long time, and will maybe only pop out of there a little bit during massive, massive drawdowns. So let's move on to Michael Saylor saying digital credit, real yield. Stride is yielding 13%, Stretch 11, Strife 10, Strike 9.5. And by the way, this is rock. This is return of capital. You're not paying taxes on this now. This is deferred tax. This is a minimum of 10 years of you keeping all this money. And then what are you going to do with that money? Well, hopefully invest it wisely. Hopefully have that money make little money and make little money, big money. British Huddle says, Bitcoin is becoming more and more boring, and that is perfect. The last thing you want is an exciting, quote unquote, store of value. If Bitcoin is going to become a store of value, it can't have 85% drawdowns. It can't have 20,000% increases. That's not a store of value. But guess what? Bitcoin is working itself into being a little bit boring, hopefully a little predictable as well, as in up 30 plus CAGR per year. And Dan Hillary says, yep, I think people work themselves up in their heads because they assume volatility will pick up to the downside, even though clearly we are in a new Bitcoin price regime. Strategy released this post yesterday. Our perpetual preferred equity is now larger than our convertible debt. And believe me, they were thrilled to be able to post this. Strategy is pumped that now their perpetual preferred equity is larger than their convertible debt. And they are going to continue to just peel off that convertible debt over the next 4 years until it's absolutely gone. And they become 100% focused on perpetual preferred equity. Rohan wants us to note that this post by Strategy about perpetual preferred equity is a big deal. You know that scene in The Big Short where Burry says, I may be early, but I'm not wrong. And the bank replies, it's the same thing, Mike. Why is it the same thing? Duration mismatch. If your debt matures before your thesis plays out, you lose. Strategy is dismantling this vulnerability in real time by flipping the stack to perpetual prefers. They are matching an infinite asset, Bitcoin, with infinite capital. They are effectively buying the right to be early forever. Early forever. I love that. And Strategy Maxi says, this is on the exact same post, by the way, from Strategy. This is why Saylor shifted to preferreds away from the convertibles. Convertibles are illiquid, restrictive, and elastic. Preferred equities, liquid, public, and scalable. Stretch is the iPhone moment of strategy, period, end of story. And grain of salt wanted to comment too. Strategy confirming pref equity is now greater than convertibles is a structural win. Fewer new converts, less delta hedge drag, cleaner price discovery, and restored convexity in the MSTR. MSTR still needs to reach conversion levels, but this shift improves the path bullish. And by the way, this is bullish with a capital Bitcoin B. Chris says, Michael Saylor's pivot to Bitcoin in 2020 is likely to turn out as the greatest strategic pivot in the history of financial markets. And all I could write to that was 100, 100, because it's absolutely true. Adam says, a lot of people are upset at the Bitcoin price action after the massive strategy Bitcoin buy. Some perspective. Strategy just bought 22,000 Bitcoin last week. Cash raised via fresh share issuance, wired OTC, real coins, locked in cold storage. That single haul, which is 0.4% of the entire liquid float, 5.6 million Bitcoin, and 1.2% of every coin sitting on exchanges, 1.8 million. OTC routing means the order books never felt a nudge, so the print on your screen stays flat until the next marginal bid slams into a thinner pool. Shouting fake Bitcoin after a bona fide transfer of 22,000 coins is like calling a house fake because it sold off market. Supply is gone. Math doesn't care about your feelings. If the weak hands need to continue to sell to Saylor for the price to move, so be it. Further capitulation is a necessity. And believe me, Saylor is hoovering up Bitcoin from weak hands, and they will have nothing but regret in the future. Metaplanet says, or I should say, Hermes says, Metaplanet projections updates, 2026 assumptions. This is assuming that Bitcoin ends at 131, which I think is pretty reasonable. Metaplanet achieves target goal of 100,000 Bitcoin, which is also achievable. And future MNAV increases slightly from increases slightly to 1.3 from 1.24, which is of course very, very reasonable. So end of year 2026, $14.41. Right now it's right around $3. So that's like a good 4x right now, which is pretty sweet. So there we go. End of 2027 is where it gets pretty sweet though. We're talking 48, almost $49, which is more like an 11 to 12x, which would be obviously pretty darn sweet. Again, these are just projections, but this is, assuming these NAV and these models that I think are honestly very, very reasonable. I mean, their current Bitcoin holdings are 35,000. Can it get to 100 this year? Absolutely. Can it get to 210,000 in another full year? Absolutely. And the Bitcoin price currently is at 89. Can it get to 131 by the end of this year? Absolutely. Can it get to 197 by the end of 2027? That's 2 years from now. Absolutely. Like that. These are reasonable projections. And if these projections hold, then this is reasonable. And if they exceed it, we'll see exceeding prices too. And if they don't, then we'll see lower. But I mean, this is what projections are all about. Doing your best guess of saying, hey, what's the future NAV, current NAV, the actual Bitcoin holdings, current share price, Bitcoin growth multiple, et cetera, into this chart. So hopefully you Metaplanet bulls are watching this and enjoying it. Let me know in the comments, by the way, if you also hold Metaplanet. I know most people watching this video, listening to this video right now, own MSTR. That's how awesome. Generational wealth is coming if you're patient, in my opinion, not financial advice. I'm curious also how many people also own Metaplanet, either, MTPLF or MPJPY, like whatever derivative that you use, you're owning of that. Let's continue moving on, but I would love to hear about that in the comment section. Mike Alfred says, all this stuff is noise. We are going higher. Hold on and don't get shaken out by shenanigans. It's all static, no substance. And again, he actually posted this, Mike Alfred. I pretty much, by the way, subscribe and follow him because it's comic relief. He's just so snarky. He's so just like blunt and in some cases brutal in kind of funny ways sometimes, that I do follow him because of that. But he posted this, after the Trump tariff warnings. He posted this because the market took a big dump. And then of course, a couple hours later, after Mike Alfred posted this, Trump came back and like walked back the tariffs for the time being, as is per norm. And then markets kind of recovered a little bit. So basically, he did a post after this, which was like, see, I told you so. And, I just kind of like following him because, again, it kind of adds a little comedy and dry humor to the game. So you'll see him from time to time on our videos. And we have a great video clip of Michael Saylor coming up as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors. Michael Saylor just made an $835 million bet buying the Bitcoin dip. Right now, Bitcoin's fallen almost 40% off its October high, and the big money is buying the dip. What's your strategy? Now might be a great time to convert your IRA or 401k to Bitcoin with the help of Bit IRA. Plus, you can fund it with pre-tax funds, then continue to invest in it over time as you do any other retirement account. Bit IRA protects your assets with end-to-end insurance, highly secure storage, multi-encryption, and registered with the U.S. government. Your IRA is fully IRS compliant. Best of all, you can trade crypto within your retirement account without incurring taxes on any buys or sells. Just go to bitira.com/JLD and request a free info guide. Once you do that and open your IRA, you'll get a free ledger. Bitcoin has proven time and time again to rebound, every cycle going from a higher low to a higher high. With Strategy's latest purchase, Michael Saylor clearly believes Bitcoin is at a discount. Time for you to get in too? Go to bitira.com/JLD to open a tax-sheltered IRA in Bitcoin. When you want more for your business, start with Northwest Registered Agent and get access to thousands of free guides, tools, and legal forms to help you launch and protect your business all in one place. Build your complete business identity with Northwest today. Your business identity is more than your logo or website. It's everything that defines who you are and how you operate, from what your customers see to what they don't, like operating agreements, meeting minutes, and compliance paperwork. With Northwest, you'll get more for your business, more privacy, more guidance, and more free resources than you'll find anywhere else. For nearly 30 years, Northwest Registered Agent has helped entrepreneurs form, grow, and protect their businesses. They're the largest registered agent and LLC service in America, powered by over 1,500 corporate guides, real people who know the local laws and can help you every step of the way. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and get your complete business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Visit www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free.
You said a little earlier that you would never be interested, or you likely wouldn't be interested in becoming a bank. Like, that is something that a lot of people have speculated about Strategy.
We wouldn't.
You wouldn't do that. Why not?
Yeah, because we have a business which in theory is almost infinitely scalable.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the existing business, we have a product, STRC, Stretch, digital credit. Okay, what's the perfect product? A product that pays you a 10% dividend with a vol of 1 or 2 that's publicly traded. What's the market size for that? $10 trillion? Right, there's $100 trillion easy, addressable market for that. If we were 10% of that treasury credit market, it would be $10 trillion. So I have a product which has got a total addressable market of $10 trillion. Okay, who wants it? Everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Who wants a bank account that pays? By the way, what if it got to zero vol? We actually think that our business idea is simple. Bitcoin is digital capital. Stretch is digital credit. If you create something on top of it that strips it to zero vol, it's digital money. A bank account that pays you 8%. People are trying that right now. There's a number of people that are trying to create digital money.
Is that essentially like a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin at that point?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I create a stable coin. Let's say I strip the vol to zero, and it's just you put in $19,000.22 and you get out $19,000.22. And while you're waiting, you collect 8%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A bank account that pays 8%. What's every other bank account pay? 3.5% right now in the US dollars, 50 basis points in yen, 100 basis points in euros, or 150 at best. Okay. So a bank account that pays 8% backed by digital credit. How do you create it? You blend in a mixture of credit and currency. By the way, you can crank the leverage down to 80% and you pay 8%, or you can crank the leverage up to 1.5 and pay 15%. Slightly more risk at 1.5 than it is at 8, but people will do both. They'll crank the leverage up and they'll crank it down. Okay, what's digital money? Digital money is zero vol with a yield in excess of the risk-free rate. Who wants it? Everybody wants it.
Everyone.
How big's the market? 200. If you had a bank in the UAE that paid 8% on bank deposits, mightn't you get $10 trillion? Okay, you could charge 100 basis points, Danny. Charge 100 basis points on $10 trillion. That's $100 billion a year. Okay, the entire gross national product of Abu Dhabi is $330 billion.
And in that case, every rich person in the world is going to be sending their money there.
Which is the perfect nation state strategy, the perfect business strategy, the perfect banking strategy, the perfect product strategy. Okay, if you're UAE, what do you want? Do you want all the people in the world or just their money? I'll give you a choice. You can have all the people in the world. No, I don't want 1 billion people. You can have all the rich people in the world. Oh, now I have 20 million people here. Or you can just have all the money of the rich people in the world. I just want their money. Okay, how do you do it? Just take a bank, offer a digital money account, pay 8%, keep 100 basis points, buy digital credit, blend it with some currency equivalents. Maybe you put on a volatility buffer. Maybe you don't need a volatility buffer. Okay, now you make 100 basis points. You slurp up 10 trillion. Now you've increased your gross national product by 30%. Slurp up 30%, double the GDP. Okay, I doubled the GDP. How many people does it take? Oh, 100. Okay, 100 people making 100 billion a year. Okay, I give you an idea to make $1 billion a person a year. You have a better idea for me? I don't have a better idea.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so now we're back to the question of why don't I do something else? Okay, because I'm giving you the ideal product. Digital credit is the feedstock to the entire, the entire banking system. What's the second best? There is no second best.